There's even a piece with yogurt parfaits, so they'll learn about dairy food. There's something with a growth chart, so that touches on the math subject. So there's something different each month. And then in April or May, we can Skype with our cow, which will be fun. So I'm really excited. Our cow's name is Mocha, and they have an app, and you can get updates on what Mocha is doing and stuff. So I'm really excited. I'm meeting with the second grade teachers tomorrow to kind of come up with more of a time where we're going to meet and stuff like that. So I'm excited about that. And then with third grade, I was actually planning to do a garden project, some raised beds with them. Not till the spring though, obviously, but I'm going to plan that a little bit more in detail, so that's going to come up. And then with the smaller kids, Nutrition Group has a program called Snack Attack, where a grade will come down and then I'll set up different snack items or how to make trail mix, just different options other than a sometimes choice, so chips or cookies and stuff like that. So those are some of the things I have planned for elementary, and then in the spring, I'm planning to get more involved with middle school and high school too. And then also next month we have our Thanksgiving meal. That is November 10th. If anyone wants to come, we get a turkey and we carve it and do the whole Thanksgiving meal. So we'll have turkey and stuffing and mashed potatoes a couple weeks before actual Thanksgiving. And that's all for me. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we'll move on to special education. Ms. DeCivio.
So it's been really exciting to be here. So thank you so much. It's been an honor to serve from our just right now getting to know a lot of the kids and the parents. And I did a little meet the director night on conferences. Mrs. Carlson had an all-call, and I did get to talk to some parents. It was interesting. We talked a lot about gifted in that, and I hope to expand upon that at the next conference night and offer just another opportunity to meet with community members and students so that I can, develop those relationships, which are really important to this job. So that's been great to do. One of the things we're talking about doing is a fundraiser to get some funds for a sensory room. Hopefully reaching out to some community members, businesses in the area, and then having some money donated back. You'll see like Chipotle nights, those kind of things, so that we can get funds for that. And then I just wanted to share with you the special education profile. I did bring it with me, so if you don't mind, if you want to take a look at that and then go through it. I don't know if I have enough copies, so I think some of you might have to share this one. And I could leave mine if anybody wants to leave it there. So I wrote notes on mine. So this one I have. This is the first one is the special education profile. So let's go with that. Sometimes it can be one thing at a time. So this one, if you look on the front page, this is all preschool. So we get our preschool services from the county. Anything that you do see not met, that's something that is great for us to talk about at our building level team meetings, and especially the county. I do have some time set up with our county supervisor to look over this. If you don't see an exclamation mark, which we don't have any exclamation marks, the exclamation mark would indicate a required action, and we don't have any of those. This is just really great information for us to continue with our school improvement team and look at that. So that would be on the first page. And one of the differences there is to note that all the not met are coming at age level. So they're looking at where kids are currently. The one that was met is growth of students. So if anybody has any more questions about that, I'd like to answer any of those. And then on the back, so indicator 3 used to just be a real simple indicator by the state. It used to be just 3A for reading, 3A or 3B for math. But now they've really broken it down. You'll see it's broken down by grade 4, grade 8, and high school. So we have really great news here, lots of METs, which is good for us to know. You can expand upon a lot of this data too in this report card and look and see the growth over the past couple of years. This is just showing us this year. If you do go to the back, you'll notice there are some not METs, and this is again great areas of reflection for us to do in our building level teams. And these are really broken down even further because there's also the gap for indicator 3D, so the gap between all students and students with disabilities. So just really great information for us. There's no required action. There's nothing along those lines. It's just data and information that we're taking from our state testing and our alternate assessment, and just helping us make really great decisions for kids.
Required? Is it going to be required in teacher?
It's just we didn't have kids in that age group to report, so it's not reported. And then the next page, that one other area, just a great area of reflection for us as we're determining services for students is the LRE. And I really like how you can see this graph here. It's really breaking down. I think for a while it shows that we were in the green. Sometimes even at that point there could have been a change in reporting. But then you'll see we had a little increase with students that were in separate facilities, and then we're reducing that. Of course, they wanted, how do you keep your students in your district and serve them in that way? But you can see that that's being reduced. And that's just, it's great information for us to talk about as we're preparing and thinking about the students that we have in our district and how we can best support and service them.
Now, question for it. Now, there's a target number percentage and then a result percentage. How do they get that result percentage? Where it says like not, how do they get those?
So the target, yeah, that's a great question. And that is determined by statewide work groups. So last year I actually sat on the work group for indicator 3A through G. And the work group is representative of state support team members, directors, teachers, principals, superintendents, all work together to determine what the target is. So that's where that comes from. And it was interesting being on that work group, you know, the target, I think for math, high school, the target is actually 8% of students passing. So that just shows you kind of where we were at post-COVID. And, you know, hopefully we're just little bits at a time increasing that success rate for students with disabilities. So this, again, this is the special education profile. It's all of our students that we report to EMIS that are on IEPs. But that's, yeah, great question. So that's that one. And then just the next one. This is just our special education rating. So we met all requirements, so that's really great. Again, we didn't have any required actions. We didn't have any of those exclamation marks. So we did meet everything, and we don't have any required actions. And you could kind of go on here. We received 4 points in every area. So this is just kind of that overview. And then what I first presented to you was just, again, that breakdown of information, where we're at and how we can improve. And our state support team, where I came from, is really wonderful. If I have a question, I can call them, and you know they help guide us along, give us some really great questions and thoughts. So. Thank you so much. And I think there was one. I apologize. I left the original.
Thank you very much. It was great news to see how it's getting. She and I talked earlier today, how it's delving deeper. Before it used to just be more comprehensive and an overview. It's hard to tell really where the strengths and weaknesses are. So if we weren't in that green, you couldn't really tell where the problem was. So now that it's broken apart, we have strategic areas in our phone number at meetings or building achievement teams. They'll be able to have specific data, specific things to look at now through that instead of before it was just a little bit more of an overview. Now it's drilling deeper.
There's additional data to discuss.
All right, next we'll move on to Mr. Pegnota. Do you have anything for technology or me?
Just to update our Chromebook situation, we talked a little bit about adding to our fleet. You know, I mentioned before that they do expire over time. They don't allow them to do updates anymore, and that we can't use a Chromebook that won't receive updates for testing. So that's kind of the benchmark we set. So we'll get some more, we'll bring some more in now, bring some more in the spring, and then we should at least be able to buy a year without going back out to market to get more in. That and the E-rate I've talked about before, funding that we did get our funds for an application we sent in for new network gear. This year starts a new cycle. And then on the maintenance end of things, we're just getting ready for fall. We're doing the playoffs, but basketball season and cold weather will be here if we not have already had a taste of it before we know it. So we met earlier today, piece of safety, which I'm sure Ms. Carlson will talk about, and we're just getting ready to make sure the building's secure and get ready for winter sports. Thank you.
I want to highlight with the technology, we actually have saved some of our ESSER money and have it set aside. So he's been slowly buying the computers instead of doing them all at once. They all go out of date at the same time. He's been buying them in chunks. So this next go around, we still have some ESSER funds set aside, so it'll be coming out of the ESSER funds to support the technology use. We've kind of divided that up and been doing it slowly. Mrs. Hammond's not here, but actually I'm gonna have, Mr. Pagnata, so our computers, our videos on our buses, working with some of them, and I know you guys just did something with a couple of them. Do you want to explain what that
We
is?
did.
'Cause I don't-
She has a mix of technologies in her buses. Some of them are version 4 software, and there's version 5, and I believe the newest version is 6. So the version 4 does not work with the current software, so we had to switch some things around, so we had the proper version in one of the buses. And we're also going out to this company to ask them, what do we need to do to bring this all together? So that they know the proper procedure when they have to pull an NVR. I mean, they're basically computers on the bus, right, capturing that feed. So it was an interesting conversation. They said we could add 2 more cameras also that she's going to look at doing that would give you no blind spots at all in the bus. But I think it's a procedural thing just as much as it is getting every bus on the same page. So we're looking into that.
Question on it. Do all of our buses have cameras that just need updated?
I believe the ones that are on the road do. There might be 1 or 2 spares that if they have a breakdown, they'd have to take that bus out. That's where part of that problem comes into play.
And how many do we have to update? How many buses?
I'd be guessing, honestly, maybe 4 that would need new systems, and that doesn't include adding extra cameras and, bringing everything up to speed.
Okay. Ms. Johnson? Ms. White? Move on to my report. As Mr. Pagnata said, we had our second peace and safety meeting today. We continue to review some of the stuff that we're purchasing with our safety grant. We actually went out to bid for the window film. They all have to be turned in this Friday, so we will know exactly how much those are going to cost and then what extra funds we have. So we talked with our committee. The 2 priorities are the bus videos as well as the door locking systems. I brought both of them to the meeting today. We looked at them. There's like a couple different options, but one of the company on the door locking actually has a mechanism that our safety and security and fire can have that will unlock it from the inside. The other company does not, so we'll most likely go with the one. We're just going to kind of look at where the funds are with the grant and look at our permanent improvement levy that we pay for on top of, possibly use some of that then for the door locks if we have to, if there's not enough left to do bus videos. Also want to update some of the videos in our building. Our hallways and our offices there's no camera down in the office. There's a couple blind spots in the building we also want to address. So the camera systems are a little bit of a couple different locations. So we met, Chief Datillo is also working to develop a comprehensive response plan that we're going to have all laid out. Campfield invited us to their big event they did at the beginning of the year, and he went to that and watched how they have their response layout. So with the fact that we sit here and we have Campfield Police, Goshen, Beaver, Green, and the sheriffs would respond if we had a major emergency. So putting together a plan on this building and they all would have it. Where do they go? Where do they park? So it's not chaos when they all come, everybody. So he's working on putting that together, and we're hoping Thanksgiving, Christmas to have that completed. He's been trying to plan it almost identical to the way Campfield already had theirs planned. So it was a good meeting. We had representatives from both townships here and kind of reviewed all of those things. We talked about a couple other little things just within the building and just getting everybody on the same page with the safety of that. We also, like I said, we're waiting on the grant. We'll get the bids that come in for the grant and the 2 additional items. We're also going to meet this week, kind of getting past COVID. We used to have a lot of volunteers in the building, and I'm working with the administration. One of their things, if we go back to inviting volunteers in, more structure, more, training even for them, more dedicated people that maybe they always come in and do the same job all the time, so they're a little bit more comfortable with it and skilled at it. So we're going to have our first volunteer meeting with just a small group of people. I invited the PTO presidents, one of the vice presidents, the administration, just to sit and brainstorm a couple things first, and I try to identify who we want on the committee, what kind of volunteers we want, for what areas. We talked about here in the library, we talked about the cafeteria, recess, offices, different places where we might be able to utilize volunteers and try to get our community back in our building. So we're going to have our first meeting and put together a plan for that. That's this week. We also have, next week, we have a second wellness committee meeting and kind of expanding beyond just reviewing our policies and some of the things we do in the building with our students, make sure we're still aligning to our wellness, but also looking at, can we expand and do some staff wellness? Like what can we do? What kind of different activities can we do? Can we do little competitions? Can we offer some services to our staff? Reduce stress? Just do some different things. So it's not just food, talking about food, but we're also talking about the mental wellness of our staff and our students and everything. So we're going to meet next week and start going a little further into that. We've started doing a few things here in the building, offering some services to our staff, so they don't maybe have to leave early and go to a doctor's appointment. Just trying to enhance some of that. Also want to congratulate Miss Joseph. She's our new English teacher this year, who replaced, not that you can replace Miss Elder, but she replaced the open position. And she continued the Raider Regatta tradition, and she did it with great success. The students did an amazing job. The collaboration, the support of each other out there as they put their boats back and forth. It's a great day, and it was a huge success. So kudos to her for knocking the first one out of the park. I'm sure that was very stressful. I'd also like to thank Miss Rosen. Last year, she started championing the kids to increase our spirit in our school. So the Spirit Club kind of was reformed, and this past weekend they tried to put together, so they spend a lot of money on painting and signs and all kinds of different things. So they wanted to do a fundraiser, and with Mr. Rowan's support and all of our different clubs and organizations even stepped up to help. They had their first car show and trunk or treat show for the kids, and it was a huge success. They all enjoyed coming here for that. And then, as many of you have asked, when we're at games, we hear a lot about when are the bathrooms going to be built. The foundation, the athletic boosters, are in the early stages of this process. As they finalize the design and begin moving forward, we'll begin to be able to share more information. We are extremely lucky in this district to have the South Range Foundation, athletic boosters, and Rominger family who have donated the money to help build our sports complex to make it a premier area. So as more information comes and designs come, we'll be able to share more information on that, but it is in the works, so people ask. And then speaking of sports, this week we have our volleyball team going to district semifinals at in Medina, playing Menor Lane Catholic on Wednesday at 6 p.m. And our football team begins playoffs against Liberty this Friday here at home. So best of luck to our student athletes. And then also this week is Red Ribbon Week, and the schools all have special activities that will be going on throughout the week prior to Halloween. Any questions?
Thank you. Moving on to the regular agenda items on the meeting tonight. We'll go through those.
Last month we had the board policy first read, so the policies are the same ones we had before, so this is just asking the board to adopt them. So let's go for the second one. The PEBT approval, the government gave out money last year for the pandemic, an electronic benefit transfer. So there were funds that were sent to families that came from the state, and prior to this, my secretary had done the reporting and sent everything out. This year, Caitlin has done a lot of work to make sure that our students' status of their lunches are up to date. So this money, we received this money, and we're going to work with nutrition group, so it will go towards nutrition group. 8th grade Washington, D.C. trip approval. They would like to go to Washington, D.C. and Gettysburg, May 10th and 12th. Senior Washington, D.C. trip. So they used to do this trip a while back, and COVID hit, it kind of came to a screeching halt. So she's asking, this will be November 19th of next year, but she's asking because she's going to have to start doing fundraising with these different groups. And then baseball spring trip, so going to Myrtle Beach, the Ripken Experience again, April 10th through the 15th. And then the softball approval, they go to North Myrtle at the Grange Strand Classic Tournament on the 10th through the 14th. So they're asking permission to go again. scrap and salvage recycling. Dean often uses these 3 companies to do different, to sell some of his scraps, things that are not at profit that he can sell out. So he salvages and scraps them, so this is giving him permission to use these 3 companies and be able to get rid of some excess things.
It's for when the auditor ran being in the month, they just different procedures. One that they recommended was the board seeing improving whatever mistakes that all the zoning committees did and the different partners. So that was provided to you guys if you guys have any questions on this.
And the last one was an invoice. Mr. Farron does the t-shirts and tickets, and he sold quite a few of them, so we need approval to be able to pay this invoice because they have done it. Any questions on any of this?
Okay, if there's no questions, we will move the time for public participation for agenda items. And then non-agenda items.
Actually, for the non-agenda items, Shauna Will wanted me to recognize Dean and all of his staff that he works with for all the hard work and everything that they've done over for the Fall Fest. That was way above and beyond anything we could have asked for. You guys were great, and I know they put you a lot of work in setting everything up, the lights, and I don't think you guys get enough recognition of all the hard work and everything you do over at the stadium, but thank you so much.
Thank you, thank you. And we have a great crew. It's not me, it's those guys. And you all know them, you've had experiences with them. And I mean, it's unique here, I think. We're in a unique place with the people we have. So thank you on behalf of them.
Thank you, Ms. Locke. Go back through the agenda items for approvals. So the first one, the November 2021 adoption of the revised policies listed below. The motion to accept those.
So,
Liz,
I'll second.
10 seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. The PEBT approval.
Oh,
Amy moves.
I'll second.
Shelley seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Approving the 8th grade Washington DC trip for May of '23.
So moved.
Liz moves.
I'll second.
Terry seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Senior Washington DC trip for November of '23 next year.
I'll move.
Shelley moves.
I'll second.
Amy seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. The baseball spring trip for this April.
So moved.
Liz moves.
I'll second.
Terry seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Softball spring trip for April of '23.
I'll move.
Shelley moves.
I'll second.
Amy seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Approving the scrap and salvage recycling.
I'll move. I'll second.
Terry moves. Amy seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Approving the newly listed the budget categories.
So moved.
Liz moves.
I'll second.
Shelley seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. And approving the invoice for Stella Fine Arts.
I'll move.
Shelley moves.
Second.
Seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And at this point, we're going to go to executive session for consideration of a
public employees contract, and then also for specialized details of security arrangements. If we could have a motion to go to executive session.
Oh, no.
Terry moves,
So,
Liz seconds, and Mr. Nero, if you can call the roll.
Terry Lally,
yes.
Elizabeth Johnson,
Yes.
Shelley Calucci,
Yes.
Amy White,
Yes.
Brad Becker.
Yes. And the board enters executive at 6:28. And we'll come back out to go through personnel.
You guys all meet?
Smithville.
Okay, we'll return to executive at 7:44. And ready to review personnel.
All right, we have a couple different things you saw in here. Trying to be collaborative with some other districts. On the day we weren't in school, Crestview was short drivers, so we were able to support them. So through a purchase service agreement, if they needed a driver, they borrowed one of our sub drivers to drive for them. Jimmy Stitt, when I put his resignation on last time as a Taylor sub, I accidentally deleted him, so he could be paid. I need to add him for these are the days that month that he worked as a daily sub. Tier 3 driver, Doug Wilson, he is our floating Tier 3 driver. And then we have a couple more substitutes, Nicole Malkovitz, Elaine Highland, and Rachel Breist. We have a few extra aides that are, the substitutes are willing to also do aid coverage if we need them, so I have to group also do that. That's Elaine Highland, Nicole Malkovitz, Patricia Shaw, Sarah Breyer, and Seth Beresford. Custodian sub, Thomas Davison, sub driver, Keith Mardick, and then Camp Fitch, did a list of teachers who attended Camp Fitch. Supplemental coaching, moving into this coming year. Boys basketball, Tom Titus, Chase Boones are going to be volunteers. Daniel Ritter is going to do 9th grade boys. Tom Titus Sr. will be doing 7th grade boys. Swimming, we have a change this year. We're going to be going to the YMCA downtown, and Terry Patterson and Chris Hughes are working on their PAPs right now. But they're the coaches that everybody's been training with down there. And then baseball, Daniel Frisch is the assistant boys baseball coach at 7%, and Jonathan Bryce is volunteer baseball coach. And then we have our new hires that we hired this year. Mario and I put on here just so it's documented why we're adjusting their salaries. Being new here still, he and I missed giving them their mods in their salary schedule. So to make sure for auditing purposes, since he's adjusting their salaries how they should have been, we've documented their mods that they should. The bold print is the only thing that changed. Everything else was how we awarded for prior to years. Taylor Johnson. So in relation to what was said earlier about least restrictive environment in our SPP data, one way to improve that is we have a few students in the elementary that we are going to try a modified behavioral room, sensory room, where kids can come into for a few 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and go back to the regular classroom. Instead of sending them to another location, we're doing what Jacqueline talked about, finding solutions to keep our kids here. So she is a tutor right now through ESSER funds. We're going to slide her into a daily sub instead of hiring the position now. We're going to see if this works. She's going to do it as be paid as a daily or a long-term substitute, but we're still going to fall her under the ESSER funds. But she is going to be working. She's actually already working with these kids, but through tutoring, not being here all day. So. And then Jocelyn Kramer, unfortunately, for personal reasons, had to resign as our bus aide. However, she is still, once she's through what she's dealing with right now, going to come back and try to finish her bus driving certification so she can be a driver for us. Tamara Frost is she's going to now take over and help on that bus, locking and unlocking the wheelchair for one of our students. So this is more of like a bus tech. She's just responsible for getting the wheelchair locked and unlocked every day to and from. So it's just going to be a flat amount per week. And then that was it for the first go around. We want to take care of those.
Any questions or concerns on the first set? So I did hear somebody ask the question about how the bus insurance works. You want to say, like,
For the Christian.
loaning out a bus, how does the insurance cover it? We're working there, basically.
Yeah, because you wouldn't drove their bus, so they'll cover all that.
Store driver, we won't have any liability with the driver.
And if we loan a bus, then we get from their school, their coverage for their liability of buses, if they have to borrow a bus, we'll get a copy of their liability if they ever have to do that. We've done it for different school districts.
Yeah, so that's a good question, worth bringing up.
Yeah.
Okay, so that first list of personnel. Set that.
I'll motion. I'll second.
Sorry, is that Shelley
No,
or-
I second. I second, yeah.
Okay, Terry makes the motion, Amy seconds. Mr. Harris, you call the roll.
Terry Lau,
Yes.
Amy White,
Yes.
Sally Fletcher,
Yes.
Elizabeth Johnson,
Yes.
Brian Babbitt.
Yes.
Then we have a second personnel, approving the sub-bus driver, Brock White.
Questions? Can I have a motion to accept? Terry moves,
I second.
Shelley seconds. Mr. Nero?
Terry Lau,
Yes.
Sally Fletcher,
Yes.
Elizabeth Johnson,
Yes.
Amy White,
Abstain.
Brian Babbitt.
Yes. And with that should conclude our meeting. If we have a motion to adjourn,
So
Elizabeth moves,
I second.
Shelley seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Have a wonderful evening.